Hi, I'm Stevie with Keller Williams in Jacksonville, Florida. And in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down for you the entire home buying process, what to expect, all the steps, timeline of events, and all the estimated upfront cost. So this is a great video for first-time home buyers, whether or not you're looking to purchase within the next 30 days or the next couple of years. Typically, I do buyer consults in person, but things are a little bit different right now, right? And we're doing things virtually. So we're making it work, but typically when I'm doing a buyer consult, home buyers come to the appointment and they have a lot of questions and they're a little bit overwhelmed and they kind of don't really know what to ask. But every time they leave feeling confident and they know what direction they need to go in with next, whether or not they realize if they are ready to actually buy right now or if they do need to wait a couple of years. So they always feel super confident, and I know that when this video is over, you are going to feel the exact same way. So let's just get right into it. I'm going to be breaking down the home buyer guide here. I'm going to be sharing with you my screen, but you should have received a copy of this to your email in a PDF form, and if not, let me know so that I can get that over to you right away. I am going to be sharing with you my screen, so just wait 1 second because then you can see my buyer guide as well. So let me just get this all set up. It'll just take 1 second. Okay, so first things first is we're going to break down step number 1, and that's hiring a real estate agent. This is potentially your largest investment, and it's so important to have someone representing you. So I'm there to handle all the paperwork, all the legal documents, disclosures. I am well educated and experienced with the entire home buying process. I help with negotiating, pricing, educating you on current market conditions. And I want to mention is that throughout this whole process, I'm going to be there educating you because there's no way I could educate you on the entire home buying process in this video or just with a simple guide. I'm going to be educating you and answering all your questions all throughout the way. Something that I really want to make sure that you know is that it doesn't cost you anything to use me as your buyer's agent. The seller, that's actually their expense. They're the ones paying me. So you are not paying me anything. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that, because if you're not in real estate, how would you know? You might think that I have a fee or, some agents charge a transaction fee, but there is no fees here. You're not going to pay me $1 in helping you, okay? Okay, let's move on to the next step. So we're not going to break down every page in the guide, but I'm going to break down the most important parts, but would love for you to dive in on the other pages that we don't go over. We're definitely going to talk about step number 2, and that is the pre-approval. So I am sure that you have heard before that you have to get a pre-approval before you go out and start looking at properties. And that's not just some salesy thing that real estate agents say just to get you to get a pre-approval. It's actually really important for you because there's just so many different situations where this has happened, where someone was not pre-approved and we started looking at properties. We looked at a lot of properties. They thought they knew what they would get pre-approved for and what they could afford. And, I'm pulling sellers' disclosures. I'm running extensive comparable market analysis on properties. I'm scheduling all the showings with the homeowners and getting it all booked in our calendars. And we're going driving all around Jacksonville looking at properties. And then come to find out you can't afford any of the homes because it's out of your budget. Nobody wants a buyer to be out of budget, okay? Now, if you see a property and you're not pre-approved, you see 1 or 2 and you really want me to take you to them, I don't mind. But it's just really important that we don't waste each other's time spending days looking at homes. Even sometimes people get pre-approved and they're not educated on whether or not they can afford that. And what I mean is, there's a lot of mortgage companies out there. You Google mortgage companies or that you want to get pre-approved and hundreds and thousands of companies are going to pop up, right? So a lot of times buyers come to me already pre-approved with Quicken Loans or Lending Tree or just these random online companies, and they do these loan applications online and they never speak with a lender, so they just have no education. Especially with a first-time home buyer, you need that hand holding and you need that education so that you know, what are all these legal documents that you're signing? What are you getting yourself into? I think you really need that guidance. But a lot of times with pre-approvals, they pre-approve somebody up to a certain amount. Let's say, I always use 300,000 as an example. So let's say you get pre-approved up to $300,000. We start going out looking at properties, and then we find one that you and your family absolutely love, and we go under contract, and then you finally have a conversation with the lender asking them to break down the cost. And then you find out with your mortgage payment, homeowners insurance, taxes, HOA, and some new construction communities have CDD fees, which a lot of people who are locating here out of state, they have no idea about CDD fees. Even some locals who are moving up and they're moving into new construction homes, they have no idea what CDD fees are either. So it's really important that you educate yourself. So where I was going with that is, we've gone under contract and then the lender breaks down what their monthly amount is with, like I mentioned, homeowners insurance, taxes, HOA, CDD fee, and the actual mortgage, and then come to find out it's out of their budget. And then they realize that they really need to be looking at properties at the $250,000 range, not the $300,000. And then we just wasted all that time searching for the one, finally fell in love with the one, got it, and then you had to back out of the deal because we weren't educated. So I really, really suggest having that conversation with the lender and breaking down what it is a month that you want to spend on those items. And I even have it listed right here. Ask about monthly mortgage amount with mortgage, taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA, and potential CDD fees. If you're thinking about new construction, or a newer community may have a CDD fee that is thousands of dollars a year, and you want to make sure that you can afford these items. Yeah, have that conversation with the lender, talk about how much money you want to put down, the type of loan program you want to do, if it's FHA, conventional, if you're military and you qualify for the VA loan. Those are the main loans for you to discuss. And credit items have changed on each one of these categories, on each one of these loans recently because of COVID-19. So make sure that you guys are having the conversation on what the new credit requirements are. I can provide you with my contacts from my preferred mortgage lenders. These are people that I communicate with and I work with in my business every single day, and they are great with first-time homebuyers, with explaining and going into detail about, you know, the different loans, FHA, conventional, what would be a better option for them, or if someone's needing help with credit repair, or you know, which debts should I pay down first? They are going to help you. Whereas other places, these online companies probably aren't going to give you that kind of service. So depending on your employment, you'll have to provide pay stubs, past 2-year tax returns, especially if you're a 1099 employee. They're going to do a credit report and bring to the lender's attention any of your concerns about credit history, bankruptcies, and this will save you time and money, and they're going to find out anyways. So you might as well just disclose that information and work from there. So that pretty much breaks down the pre-approval process. Send me a message if you need my preferred mortgage lenders to start getting that conversation going with that. Okay, the next page we're not going to break down, but this goes into more detail about why getting a pre-approval should be your first step. Okay, so I want to know what your wants are and what your needs are. I have access to all properties, even all new construction. I have access to every single home here, and I can set you up on a search through my app, I will post the link in this video so you can download my app. You can set yourself up on a search. If you want me to set you up on a search, I'm more than happy to do that, and then I'll be notified too when those properties become available within your specifications, and we can go check those out. But also, I network with a lot of real estate agents in Northeast Florida, and I can always find out about properties before they go live so that I can share with you the stats on the home, seller's disclosures, photos. So make sure to tell me what it is that you're looking for and what your wants are and what your time frame is. Like, educate me as well. Okay, so wanted to chat with you about when we put in an offer and negotiating. So a lot of times I'm showing properties and then people find the one and they're just like, okay, now what? Do we offer $300,000 what they're asking? And it's all based off stats and it's based off the market. So when we find a property that you absolutely love, I will be drafting up a comparative market analysis, also known as comps. So I'll be presenting you comps on properties that have recently sold within the last 6 months that are comparable to this subject property that you really like. This is what the appraiser is going to be looking at. The house has to appraise at value in order for you to get loan approval if you're doing financing. So we have to look at these numbers, and then this is what I use to negotiate, are these stats, the comparable market analysis. And so we'll be discussing a couple different things, and we draft up the purchase and sale agreement. It's 10 pages, so it's not just me calling the seller or the listing agent like it is on HGTV, where they're just like, hey, my buyer wants to offer $300,000. It's like, no, we have to draft up an entire report and go over all of the terms. And I wrote down a couple of the terms on here, which is we'll be adding in the offer sales price, the earnest money deposit amount, which we're going to break down what that deposit is towards the end. We're going to write in your financing terms, like what type of loan are you doing. We're going to be writing in the inspection period, which we will go over that as well, the closing date, personal property, like are you asking for their chandelier, their washer and dryer, any of those types of items. Are we asking for the seller to contribute to any of your closing costs? Another really popular one for a buyer to ask a seller is to pay for them to have a home warranty. So this is typically about $500, $550 where we can ask the seller to pay this for you. So the first year in the home, it covers all major appliances. So depending on the package that you get, I usually use Old Republic, and how it works is you, if something breaks, like the ice maker, the fridge, AC, whatever, microwave, you call the the home warranty company, and you have to pay a small fee, but they come out and they either fix it or they replace it. And a lot of these items are your big ticket items. So it's a nice reassurance to have, and it's great to have a seller pay for that. But even if the seller doesn't pay for it, it doesn't hurt for you to just pay for it for yourself. But it's something that we can negotiate. So with the 10-page purchase and sale agreement, we have to fill it out. I have to have you sign it. And then I also have to have your pre-approval on hand for the amount that we are offering. Not what you're pre-approved up to, just what we're offering. So I have to have that in hand in order to present to the listing agent. And we just go from there. We present it. Sometimes I have a buyer write a dear seller letter, just talking about their family and how they love the house, and other multiple offer strategies is we've increased the earnest money deposit amount. We've bumped up closing date. There's a couple different ways to navigate when we're in a multiple offer situation. But I think this breaks down what to expect when you're putting an offer and explaining into more detail how we're not just calling the agent offering X amount. It's all based off of the comps and the stats, and just kind of explaining on this sheet here what it is that we are negotiating, what terms. Okay. Home inspection. So in the purchase and sale agreement, there will be a 10-day home inspection contingency period written in. This basically states that within the first 10 days of going under contract, if you do the home inspection and let's say there's too many repairs, seller won't do anything, and we need to back out, we can do that within the first 10 days and get the earnest money deposit back, which we're going to go over in a little bit what the deposit is, but we can get that money back. Now, the home inspector came out and inspected the property, so we still have to pay them for that. But that is written in for you in the contract. And typically, depending on the size and the age of the home inspector spends about 2-3 hours at the property. And I will provide you with a couple of recommendations of people that I use constantly and that I would use in my own home. But you are welcome to use whoever you like. So they go out to the property, they inspect, they're there for 2-3 hours, and you have the opportunity to be there as well. And about 24 hours after the home inspection, the home inspector presents us with the report, which is sometimes 50 pages on average, and has all the photos, all the details, a quick summary. Everything is broken down so nicely. They go through every single nook and cranny of the home. Okay, and I have a list on here on this page of some of those items, and I also have a list of some of their costs. It just depends on, does the property have a well water? Is there a septic? Average cost of home inspections are listed on there. I think I have it on the other page, but WDO is a really common one that most of my buyers are VA, and you have to have a WDO inspection on a VA loan and an FHA, and that's about $100 cost. So we'll break down those upfront costs in a minute. So how it works with the home inspection that I want to explain is, so like I mentioned, they give us the report within 24 hours, right? And we review it. We take our time to review it, and we can draft up a repair request form. And in the form, you list all of the items that you want the seller to fix. Okay, then I present this to the seller. The seller has 3 options on their response back to you. The first option is that the seller says, yes, buyer, I will fix A, B, and C for you. I will hire a licensed contractor to come out to the property and fix these items. And then I will provide you paid receipts to those items, and then you can hire your home inspector to come back out to the property and re-inspect those items and make sure that they are done correctly. And that's usually an additional charge if you're having the home inspector come back out to re-inspect those items. So that's option number 1, that they say, yes, I'll hire these people, I will pay for it, I will give you receipts, and you can hire somebody to come back out and re-inspect if you like. The second option is that they say, no, I'm not going to hire somebody to come out to the property and fix these items, but I will credit you money, which typically goes towards your closing costs. Okay, so it makes things a little bit easier for the seller. They're not having to have all these different types of contractors come up to the property with estimates. I mean, it depends how extensive the repair request is, right? But a lot of times there's just different items for different types of people, and they're already wanting to get to their next spot and not wanting to have to deal with these people coming in and out of their house and getting estimates and then having to do their repairs. It's sometimes easier for them to be like, look, we'll just credit you X amount towards your closing costs. Okay, so that's option number 2. And then the last option is that they simply say, no, I'm not going to hire somebody to come out here and fix this, and I'm not going to credit you money. And at that point, that's when you can decide, okay, do I want to move forward with this property, or do I want to back out and get my earnest money deposit back? So I hope this broke down to you kind of like what to expect with the home inspection, a little bit about what they're inspecting, the cost, and a little bit about the process. So I hope that was helpful. Okay. Not going to break down every page, but I will mention on this that make sure that you submit the loan to the lender. You'll have to finish your loan application within the first 5 days of going under contract, and make sure that when they reach out to you with items or needing initials or needing some kind of explanation, that you get back to them in a timely manner. It will definitely help out with the process. So I touched base a little bit on the appraisal. It is an upfront cost that I will break down for you. And an appraisal, just in case if you're just had no idea what that is, which if you are in real estate, how would you know? But it is an opinion of value from a licensed real estate appraiser who visits the home and inspects its size, condition, function, and quality. And they are going to look at the comparable properties, what we looked at when we had submitted the offer. And the lender hires them to go out to the property and make sure that the house is worth what you are under contract for, because this is a lot of money that the bank is lending to you, and they want to make sure that this home is worth the amount that they're giving you. So that's usually about week 2-3, between 2 and 3, and I have a timeline of event sheet that I'm going to break down for you as well. I don't really need to break this down. Getting ready for closing, it's good to get the homeowner's insurance set up, get quotes. I have references for you if you need some recommendations. I'm happy to get that over for you. We'll be getting all the documents set up once you have clear to close, and getting the title company and getting the closing date and time all finalized. Just some reading material for you. I just really want to break down the most important steps in this video. So this breaks down the final walkthrough, how all that works, closing day, who will be there, what you will need, and okay, timeline of events. So what did I write here? Okay, you can get a pre-approval within 24 hours or less. They can usually do it really, really quickly. Once you go under contract is when it starts day 1 of the timeline. Now, right here, I just have an estimate of days. You know, I have 3 days, 5 days. When we go under contract, I'll be able to provide to you like March 15th, March 18th, exact date. So you're not wondering, is it day 3? Is it day 10? I will have that laid out for you. This on here is just to give you some kind of idea. So we're going to talk about the earnest money deposit, but it's owed within the first 3 days of going under contract. First 5 days is when you have to make sure you have the loan application turned in. And like I mentioned, the 10-day home inspection contingency period. When we do the appraisal, week 2-3, and then 5 to 10 days before closing, we should have loan approval, and we're getting all those documents ready. And then we actually can't close till about 30 to 60 days later. So with all things considering, with COVID-19, I'm expecting delays. So I would assume around 45 days at this point of when I recorded this video. So just have that in mind with your timeline with moving, that, you know, it takes time to go out, to find the one, to find the property. It takes sometimes a couple days to negotiate and get under contract, and then actually start day 1, and then you have another 45 days until you can actually close. So if you need some guidance on, you know, you have a particular date of when your lease ends, for example, or when you're going to be moving here, and you're like, okay, I see this timeline of events, Stevie, but just tell me when you think would be a good time to start looking, and I can definitely let you know on that. But I think this is helpful, this sheet, just to give you an idea of the main events that happen through the transaction, and what they are, and how long it takes to close. And you don't actually have loan approval until about 5 to 10 days before closing. Sometimes it's less than that. Okay, so upfront cost. This is so important because a lot of times buyers think that their only upfront cost is that they have to bring cash for their down payment, and there's actually a lot more to that, and it can be quite an expense that you just were not expecting on paying. So I have to the right here an example of a purchase price of $300,000. So you can base off these numbers off of any purchase price that you're looking at. Very simply, just by doing the math, but if you need any help and you want me to break down these numbers for you, I'm more than happy to do that. But this example is based off of a $300,000 purchase price. Typically, the earnest money deposit is 1% of the purchase price. So for this example, that's $3,000, right? And like I mentioned, within the first 3 days of going under contract is when this earnest money deposit is owed. Now, this goes to the title company where we are going to be doing the closing. It's kind of considered a neutral party. You know, it's not going straight to the seller. It's not going straight to me. The title company is holding it. It cannot be released unless buyer and seller sign off on a cancellation binder release form. So it's secure there. And like I said, with the 10-day home inspection contingency period, if we decide to back out, we can still get, for this example, the $3,000 back within the 10 days. And if we make it to closing, the $3,000 does go towards your closing costs, purchase price, or you might get it back. It just depends on your loan and the situation. But just so you don't think that this money just vanishes. It actually goes towards something, or if we back out of the deal, we get it back as long as it's within the first 10 days. Okay, home inspection. Now, it just depends on, let me look at my home inspection page. It depends on the size and the age of the home, and every place, it varies on the price, and you can call them, you can get their prices. But typically, I want to say I have on here $500. It's going to be about $300 to $350. But if you are needing to get a WDO inspection, which is for wood destroying organisms, some loans require this. It's for, you know, termite damage, current termites, wood rot. The WDO inspector charges around $100. Okay. Now, depending if you have a septic and we need to inspect that, that's an additional cost, which I have it listed on here. A well water test, a radon air test if needed. Also, with inspections, if you want a 4-point letter, be sure to write this down because it is a lot of information and it's upfront costs and it's important. A 4-point letter breaks down for the homeowner's insurance company for the 4 major points in the home: AC, electrical, plumbing, and the roof. And it basically states, the home inspector states that these items are in good condition. Then we get this 4-point letter that we can present to the homeowner's insurance company, and you will get a discount in your homeowner's insurance. And it's about $100. Okay, and then there's also a wind mitigation inspection that you can do with the home inspector, and that's usually about $50 to $100. So make sure that you have these funds set aside depending on your home, on the situation. And once we know what home, you know, that you have fallen in love with, I can give you an idea and break down those numbers for you also, you know, depending if it has the septic or the well water. So that's just to give you an idea. Now, I have repairs on here because if it's a resale, you're probably it's not gonna be perfect. The home inspection report's not gonna be perfect, and a seller is probably not going to fix every single item and make it brand new for you, right? So, or the countertops aren't gonna be exactly what you're looking for, paint or flooring, appliances, like all these things. I think it's so important to just have extra funds set aside for those types of things, right? Okay, closing costs is a huge expense that most buyers have no idea about, and it's a good amount of expense. So based off of a $300,000 property for a resale, it's going to be about 3% of the purchase price. That's $9,000 that are the buyer's closing costs. Now, if you're looking at new construction, it can be as high as 5%. Now, typically, some builders do offer some incentives where they will pay all of your closing costs or half of your closing costs. So that's definitely something, if that's something you're interested in, new construction, definitely let me know so I can give you all the options. But it's always important to just have this, if you're looking at a resale, this $9,000 set aside. Now, everything is negotiable, right? So I can present in our offer for the seller to pay your 3% closing costs. Now, whether or not I'm able to do that. I just cannot guarantee that at this time. It's case by case, and it just depends. But also something for you to just keep in mind is that the seller has their own closing costs. And they're also paying the commissions onto realtors. And when you come in, like, hey, I need you to pay this 3% closing costs, another $9,000. Like, do you think they want to do that? Do you think you would want to do that on the sale of your home? Probably not. But there are ways to help negotiate and get this covered, or half, or even $1,000. But I want you to be fully educated on all of your upfront costs and make sure that you are prepared and that you have these funds set aside. Then the down payment. It just depends on the type of financing you're doing. So if you're doing the VA loan, you do not have to put down a down payment. If you do, your monthly amount will be less. I think it's a great idea to put money down, but with the VA, that is an incentive that they have, is you don't have to put any money down. With an FHA loan, you have to put at least 3.5%. A conventional loan, they have 3% options, they have 5% options. So just wanted to mention that, because a lot of times people think that they have to put 20% down, and you don't. It's great. You won't have private mortgage insurance and your payment will be less, but I know a lot of times people don't have that cash, or they don't want to spend that cash. And so I just want to make sure you know your options, that you don't have to put 20% down, but the lender can go over all of those options for you. Okay, so I hope that this broke down and gave you an idea of the upfront costs when purchasing. And if you have any questions about this, you need me to dive in deeper, manually break down what exact purchase price you're looking at, I'm more than happy to do that for you. I'm here to be a resource and answer all of your questions. So do not hesitate to reach out to me. Okay, so I kept mentioning that I was going to go over the earnest money deposit. And so this basically shows the seller how committed you are. And like I said, this money is going to go towards your costs at closing, and it's held at the title company, it's held at a neutral party. Like I mentioned, it's typically 1% of the purchase price. It has to be turned in within the first 3 days of going under contract, and they'll be held in an escrow account. So I hope that breaks down what it is, where it's going, where it's going to be going towards. And like I said, with the 10-day home inspection contingency period, if things just don't work out with that home inspection the way that you want it, it's no big deal, and we can get the earnest money deposit back, okay? So this breaks down on this page on what exactly are closing costs. I mentioned that they're 3% of the purchase price, but this breaks it down. And I also have another sheet that breaks it down in more detail on each item and how much it is. So if you want that, let me know, because I can email that over. This is some reading material about how 61% of first-time homebuyers don't put down or put down less than 6%. So you don't have to put down 20%. Most first-time homebuyers are actually putting down less than 6%. Okay, here's just a little checklist to, as you're going through the transaction. This is just things, if you need an idea of things to let me know about, this is a great page to reference. Let me know everything that you are looking for. Just a little bit about me. So I have an app that you can download to search properties. Send me a message if you prefer to have this app. It's super easy to use, or I can send you properties and get you set up, and so you'll be automatically notified within the specifications that you have. And I'm really excited to working together. Send me a message after you watch this video. Let me know that you watched it, and send me a message with all of your questions that you have, because that is what I'm here for. Whether or not you're looking right now, or a year, 2 years from now, I'm still going to be in real estate, and I want to be that resource for you. And if you know of anybody that's looking to buy or sell, or you think that they would benefit from this video, let me know. I hope this was helpful. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing day, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.